Discussion today. This is an OSCIA OMAFRA joint venture. So the first half hour is going to be a discussion about what OSCIA, Ontario Soil and Crop Improvement Association, what activities we undertake, what the association does. And that's going to feature the awesome Brittany Roca, who is our Association Development Officer, and the fabulous Kathy Dibble, who is the Regional Communications Coordinator for the Thames Valley region. I'm Margaret May, and I'm Regional Program Lead with Soil and Crop, and I will be your moderator for today. So I encourage you, along the bottom of your screen, there's an option for a Q&A or a chat. If you have questions, please put them in there. We'll try and hold the questions till the end of the session, but we will deal with them for sure. And we encourage you also to visit the virtual booth that we have jointly with OMAFRA, so Soil and Crop and OMAFRA, as well as the Soils at Guelph folks. And within that virtual display, you'll see there's an option to complete a very short survey to win one of our really classy rain jackets or a Soils at Guelph hat. So we hope you can take a chance to visit that site or connect individually with some of the team who are all listed there as well. So I will invite Brittany and Kathy up for their presentation.
Thanks, Margaret. To kind of get started, Kathy and I would like to show a little bit of a promo about Soil and Crop so you guys get a better understanding of who we are as an organization. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and start the video. Oh, just 1 second. There we go.
The Ontario Soil and Crop Improvement Association, founded in 1939, is a unique not-for-profit farm organization. The association activities are guided by 4 strategic directions: local association development, producer education, consumer outreach, and program delivery. OSCIA has been involved in many significant educational programs, financial assistance programs, demonstration projects, and investigative surveys. Partners have included federal and provincial governments, farm organizations, universities, agribusiness, conservation agencies, and interest groups. Over 50 local associations encompassed by 11 regions make up OSCIA's network of members. OSCIA's diverse membership of over 4,000 has a significant presence in all agricultural areas of the province and across all major sectors. Members can enjoy discounted rates for various services, participate in applied research trials, stay informed on innovative practices that facilitate responsible economic management of soil, water, air, and crops through OSCIA's quarterly e-newsletter, The Innovator, nominate a soil champion, enter to win the Don Hill Legacy Award, access new and innovative technology, network with other progressive farmers, and more. We are farmers actively seeking, testing, and adopting optimum farm production and stewardship practices. Find out more about us at ontariosoilcrop.org.
All right, so that's just a quick overview about our organization. We have many membership benefits, and they all vary across the province of Ontario. We have 11 regional associations and 52 local associations, and each region kind of does their own thing, but they all have the same goal at the end. Kathy is also very involved in the Thames Valley area. And Kathy, do you want to kind of talk about some of the membership benefits that you guys offer in your area?
Well, for most of the members, oh dear, is that me or somebody else? Are we good? Okay, so members across the province can receive discounted admission fees to several events such as the Southwest Ag Conference, the Central Conference, and the Eastern Ontario Crops Conference. Attending the Outdoor Farm Show, members can enjoy a free breakfast courtesy of Silver Agri-Services. Members can also receive 10% off soil testing fees on self-submitted samples with certain accredited labs within Ontario. And all members are able to receive our Innovator newsletter quarterly, as well as regional updates. Every region does a little bit different, but we certainly have a lot of information sending out all the time. Several local and regional organizations also host producer information meetings, crop tours, awesome summer tours. Oxford Soil and Crop has been to New Liskeard and Newfoundland and Ireland over the past few years. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on across the province at the local and the regional level for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And some local associations take it upon themselves to have their own additional membership benefits where they offer a shadowing program for their new members who would be interested in getting more involved in horticulture or beef farming, where a new member can kind of go out onto the farm and shadow another member. But that's all like local association specific. I know out in the New Liskeard, Temiskaming area, they do a crop tour and they combine all of it with other local associations to make one big event. Yeah, so it's really neat how all the local associations get together to group and have events. But another cool thing about being a part of Soil and Crop are our Tier 1 and Tier 2 grants. Tier 1 applications are typically $1,500, and whether that's to go towards bringing in a speaker for a local event, having a crop tour, a bus trip, maybe your local association would like to buy some hats to recruit membership engagement. The budget's available for that. I know out in Waterloo, they're currently doing a community outreach project where they've developed plot signs to mark what plot is out in the field. So let's say it's a cornfield, so the first sign will say that this is a field of corn, then the next sign will kind of introduce what that crop is used for. So that's kind of cool. Kathy, do you guys have any Tier 1 activities going on in your area?
Right now, not that I know of, but quite often they're more field project related as far as doing plots. And certainly all the plot trials that any local or regional soil and crop association does do, all of the results that are shared on the website through the Crop Advances website page. And there's years and years and years of research history throughout the Crop Advances, whether it's focused on corn or wheat or soybeans or soil health or water quality. All the results from past local and regional projects are there from, I believe, about the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you guys can see the Tier 2 grant webpage that I'm on right now. Like Kathy said, all this information is listed on the OntarioSoilCrop.org website. You can see the current Tier 2 projects listed on the website, and then you can also go to our Crop Advances under the Research and Resources section to find out the results from some of the projects that have taken place over the course of the year. So you got the canola reports, the cereal reports, the corn reports, their soil reports, soybean reports, and more. So it's kind of that go-to place for all that research data. We can click on one right now. We'll click on the canola reports. There we go. And so the results from 2019 all the way to 2005 are listed. So you can definitely go back quite a few years and look at the research that's been taking place. So pretty cool.
We certainly need to thank our partners with OMAFRA who work with us closely across the province, doing all these projects and getting all these reports printed up and presented and then posted on the website as well. We work closely with OMAFRA across the province with a lot of different field projects, and they're a key partner in our organization.
Exactly. Another cool project that's currently going on is the Huron View Controlled Drainage Project. That is taking place in Huron, and they have quite a few partners, including Soil and Crop. They have the Huron County, the Pine River Watershed. Several other organizations have kind of collaborated together to do this project. Here's kind of like an overview of the drainage map for the Huron View site. So Kathy, do you want to talk a little bit more about the project?
This is a project that the Huron County Soil and Crop have been working on for the last couple of years. They have access to a property where they've been given full rein to run all types of projects and research, and they've invested heavily in this drainage project, looking at contour drainage, systematic tiling. They have monitoring inlets and that sort of thing as well. So it's a very major project, and it's had a lot of success. And they are very keen to see what comes out of it over the next few years. And it's been a very engaging project for the Huron Soil and Crop Board of Directors and members. So it's a really good project that's getting everybody interested and involved in that.
Yeah, and last year they had a field day where you could go out to the site and view the project as the tile was going in. I know they had originally planned to do another demo day this year, but COVID hit. But from my sources, they say that if you're interested in kind of taking a tour of the farm, they would be happy to do kind of a private viewing as long as social distancing is followed. Yeah, so if you want to go and check out this project, I recommend going to huronview.net, and what we're looking on now is under the innovative drainage section, where it showcases the map of the project and then who the project partners are.
Yeah, so a lot of other local association activities there's been several compaction days over the last couple of summers. In kind of the Georgian Central area within Thames Valley and Elgin County, and in the east. And I know there are more planned. They were hoping to run this year as well, but COVID-19 kind of kiboshed that as well. But I do think they are planning on running them again in the future, and there's a lot of really good information coming out of those compaction days as well.
Yeah, and once the data is compiled and ready, we do plan on putting it on the Soil and Crop website, and it'll probably be located under the research section. So once we receive the data from the compaction days, we will promote it broadly, and we'll let you guys know where it can be located.
And another benefit that members have identified in, being a part of the Soil and Crop organization is the leadership and learning skills that come with, getting involved with their local board of directors and sitting on the executive and moving up through the regional and the provincial organization as well. Everybody really, really enjoys getting involved and doing their part to help make the organization a success, and, learning how to run a meeting and governance skills and that sort of thing. It's been a huge benefit for everybody involved, and they all really enjoy it. So we would always certainly encourage everyone to join your local Soil and Crop, get involved. You can do as little or as much as you want, but come on aboard. We certainly encourage it.
Yeah, and I would say anybody who is looking or is involved in their local association and is still a little bit unsure of what their roles and responsibilities are, I recommend going to the Soil and Crop Skills Development resource page, where we do have a couple training modules where we've interviewed previous secretaries and treasurers and presidents and directors of kind of what their commitment was like to that position and what somebody new coming on to the organization can expect. So all that information can be found here. We also have handbooks, director handbooks. We have a board governance resource section. We're actually finishing up a board governance training module right now where you can see how to run a successful meeting. Whether you're part of Soil and Crop or you're part of another organization, the information is very standard across the board that you could easily apply it to the same role, but for a different organization. It's not just Soil and Crop specific. From there, we are also looking at developing an elections video. I know we've all been in annual meetings where we always ask somebody who can run the elections. So this video will kind of be a how-to guide to run that meeting. And that will be available on the skills development resource pages as well. We also have membership information if anybody is looking for more information on that. We have an association handbook. And then we have some constitution templates as well that our local and regional associations can use if they're looking to update their current or just kind of rejuvenate their current constitution. And then we also have a couple of mental health initiatives that have taken place over the last couple of years and resources that people can look up. So this page is kind of a catch-all. It's all about skills development resources. And if there's something that's not on this page that you're looking for, please feel free to contact myself at the provincial office, or if it's somebody you know at the local level, contact them first and then they can easily reach out to me. But we also do offer in-person, hopefully when COVID is over, in-person skills development training. But until then, we do offer them virtually. So if you are a part of a local association and are looking to kind of get some more training for your group, just let us know and we can definitely set something up.
Again, Brittany, we can certainly point out that there is contact information under the association side for all the county and all the region contacts, and also under the contact us for all of the field staff who are involved with program delivery, and all of the office staff and the board of directors as well. So it's easy. If you need to get a hold of us, you can reach out to us either by email or by phone or by text. All of our contact information is up there. If you have any questions, we'll be able to help you or direct you in the right direction if you need it.
Exactly. So that will be found under the contact us section on the Soil and Crop website. And it's just listed under whether you're trying to reach the board of directors, field staff, local association, or region. When you click on it, it's, so I clicked on the regional association. It's highlighted in which region you're looking at. So St. Clair is Lambton, Essex, and Kent. And the regional communication coordinator information is listed here. So everything should be listed in a chart form. And like Kathy said, whether you're looking for a field staff, you're looking for a regional communication coordinator, it can all be found under our contact us at on the Soil and Crop website. During that promo video, you guys heard information about Soil and Crop's Soil Champion Award and the Don Hill Legacy Award. More information on those awards can be found on the website, and they're just listed here. I'll pull it up. So yeah, so this is the Soil Champion, and we are currently accepting nominations until November 1st. So if you know anybody who's a soil advocate in your area that you would really like to have them be showcased, definitely download the application form and submit it. We're always looking for new entries. And same goes for the Don Hill Legacy Award. You can find that information out here. There you go. So lots of information on our website. And it's definitely a resource, whether you're looking for research and resources, you're looking for skills development, our site kind of has it all. Another cool thing, if you are wanting to become a Soil and Crop member, you can just also go to our website and you can click become a member and just follow the steps to join.
So Brittany, there's a question in the chat. Do you know how many members we currently have?
So we have over 4,000 members across the province of Ontario. I don't have the
steadily.
Yes, I don't have the exact number off by heart, but I know it's over 4,000. We send, we just started an electronic e-newsletter, and we send about 3,700 electronically, and then we send the rest hard copy to our members. Because we also have members who might not have access to strong internet, or we also have people that are Mennonites that are a member, especially in the Waterloo area, who require hard copies. So we go based upon those numbers, but we are definitely increasing all the time. So if you're looking to be involved, definitely get involved. Is there any other questions?
We're hoping there's going to be some more come in there, but registering for membership is not a hard process. I think we would like to mention that it's not necessarily the same price for every county, right? That's individualized.
Yeah, so there's an affiliation fee of $7.50 that go back to the provincial office, but each local association sets their membership rate. So it varies between $10 a year to, I believe it's up to $35. It just depends what your local association is doing and how active they are. $10 a month isn't very much. Even $20 isn't. You can go to McDonald's and feed 2 people nowadays for $20. So there's so much activity that happens. It's the knowledge transfer that I feel is the most value. You get together with producers, you talk about the stresses and the successes of the growing season, and it's just a good opportunity to get to know the farms around you, and not only around you, but across the province of Ontario.
So Brittany, do you know which region has the most members?
Gosh.
I'm looking it up.
Kathy's looking it up. I don't know off by heart. I'd have to look into our
I
data.
have a guess. I just want to see if I'm close to right or not.
Maybe we can make this a competition. I know Quinty is looking to get more members, so I offered them butter tarts to whoever gets the most new members.
Kathy and I tried that one year too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So not every organization has their full membership list within our membership database. It appears that Thames Valley would have the most members right now, and Golden Horseshoe comes in a close second.
So Thames Valley is Elgin, Middlesex, and Oxford.
Yes.
Right.
And then Golden Horseshoe.
That's the one Kathy and I work in, so we'll woohoo for us.
Woohoo! Because we do an awesome job, right, Margaret?
Absolutely we do. We have a blast doing it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do have another newsletter coming out. The Provincial Innovator is due. Chris is in for butter tarts. Leave it to the guys. They always want food. So the next provincial newsletter is due out on September 20th, which is this Sunday. And the regional components of those should be available at the same time or very close to that as well.
Yeah, so the really cool thing about the Innovator is that we have all these articles that are compiled from the regional communication coordinators or individuals who have something exciting that they would like to share from their region. And it's all compiled into one province-wide newsletter. And then encompassed within that province-wide newsletter, we also have landing pages, or those landing pages are redirected to the regional website. Some of our regions don't have a website, so we developed a spot so they could put their regional content. So if they want to give director updates, or if some of the areas do weather stations, so they could kind of put that information there. So we recommend when you do receive the Innovator on Sunday that you not only look at the main page, that you click through the landing pages, and each of the regions are listed on the right-hand side of the page, or you could easily navigate them through the association map that's at the top of the page.
Any other questions for Brittany or for Kathy that we can help you out with Ontario Soil and Crop?
Yeah, joining's easy. We accept all forms of payment. We accept cash, check, and credit card.
I'll even take e-transfers.
Yeah. The only thing we can't take is just a handshake.
Not right now, at least.
Yeah, not right now. I'm a hugger, so this has been real tough. But it does sound like we could have a bit of a competition to get more members out there if we do a butter tart drive.
We could do that again.
Yeah.
Sometimes The logistics of getting the butter tarts to the winning county can be a problem, but.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. But I know with AGM season coming soon, the restrictions with COVID are still set for 100 people outdoors and 50 people indoors. But I know some regions are looking at doing a joint virtual AGM and having speakers kind of come in that way. So I would say stay tuned to the OSCIA news and views. If you are a member, please make sure that you subscribe to the OSCIA news and views so you get updated on all the upcoming events through Soil and Crop.
And I would also encourage you to renew your membership through the membership portal online. I'm fearful those annual meetings that everybody loves with the roast beef dinner and the pie are probably not going to happen this winter. So this would be a good option to renew your membership online to be sure that you get access to all those benefits and access to all of that information that's available.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. All you have to do is go on the Soil and Crop website, click become a member. There's an option to renew your membership here as well, and you just select your information. And then if you don't feel comfortable paying online, you can go through the renewal process and then send the check to your local association. Your membership will still be listed as pending until the check has arrived to your local, but they can also do it that way. I know some local members have been concerned because when they are prompted for payment, it says PayPal, but you don't necessarily need to have a PayPal account. If you just scroll down, it says pay by credit card, and you just select that and it'll bring you to pay by credit card. We just use PayPal as the portal. It's the payment processor essentially that we use. Any other questions?
So that's almost time for this session. We encourage you to visit the virtual booth. All the team members are listed there, whether they are Ontario Soil and Crop Improvement Association staff or whether they are OMAFRA staff. They're all listed there together, as well as the Soils at Guelph folk. So it's a really good resource. You can connect individually. And also in that site, there's an option to complete a survey to win one of our fabulous rain jackets or one of the Soils at Guelph hats. And I'm not going to tell you exactly where. You have to look to find that spot. I'm quite confident you're all able to do that. So thank you very much, Brittany and Kathy, for your input in this session. And we're kind of going to switch here momentarily to our partners at OMAFRA. We have some of the field crops unit folk in attendance here, and their topic that they are ready to field questions on is entitled Pests and Diseases. They've been rampant this year. Tracy's been looking at more bugs than she's ever seen, I think. And disease, at least I know around here, there's been all kinds of issues to deal with. So we welcome your questions. Or who's going to start off here, guys? Christine?
We didn't actually plan that, but
okay, then I get to pick. Tracy, you're talking. I guess you get to go first.
I guess I do. Okay. Yes. So thanks. I want to make sure my colleagues get a chance. But I think lately, most recently, Christine and I have been dealing with a pretty significant issue that's impacting corn. But before that, certainly this year, there were things that we expected and didn't expect. So armyworm certainly was a pretty big outbreak. Haven't seen that since 2012, but thankfully, for the most part, the feeding injury wasn't as bad. So some applications weren't necessary. And then spider mites was the other thing. And I think, unfortunately, spider mites are going to be an issue ongoing, especially if we continue to have hot, dry summers. So that's going to be a challenging pest because we don't have anything more than one active available to control it right now. And even in applications, always been challenging no matter what. It's difficult to get to them because they're on the underside of the leaves usually. There's usually lots of eggs still and the products don't work on the eggs. and even just other scenarios like the pH in the tank with the dimethoate can have an impact. So going forward, we're really going to have to be more aware of those potential poor application sites and determine whether it's resistance or if it's just that we need to do better job at applications, and even finding new products that are going to actually work, because mites have developed resistance to hundreds of different actives in the world globally. So it is going to be difficult and challenging to find new ones that come up. But the latest, and I just want to share my screen for one slide, if it's going to show up. Just a second. Or maybe it's not going to show up. That's interesting. I've never had it where it doesn't at least give me the program that I've got. Let me see. Just a sec. Maybe I have. Oh, I'll just do my screen, and I'm going to just have to show my program. Hopefully that'll work. Show the slide. So if you can see, somebody nod if you can see the actual, awesome. So here's a field that we saw, and I'm not going to absorb too much more time, but this is the newest thing that we need to keep an eye out for. Any fields that are continuous corn, this is pyramid-traded hybrid. This is the worst injury we've ever seen caused by rootworm. They clip the roots, they impact the nutrient and water uptake to the plant, so it's not just a yield issue, this is a quality issue and stability issue. We saw a field across the road, a different trait used last year that we did confirm resistance to. That grower did his best in rotating out of corn for this year, but unfortunately that same rootworm population spread and laid eggs in nearby fields. And this having multiple traits in this hybrid tells us there's cross resistance. So we now have to see continuous corn acres moved off of corn for at least 1 year, possibly 2, to try and knock this resistant population back. Resistance is always going to be there from now on, but we need to knock the rootworm population back so there's not as many breeding and mating and carrying those genes forward. So we're going to see significant efforts in trying to move guys off of continuous corn if possible, and if not, additional measures that we need to take to try and see less injury, because otherwise this is the kind of injury we're going to see every year going forward. So that's the big one for me. That just has absorbed some of our time lately, and unfortunately the newest of the BT resistant scenarios.
So Tracy, how much of an issue is that in the big corn states, in the I states?
This is what they're dealing with all the time now, unfortunately. So this is our opportunity to not be that example. And if they've seen a windstorm like what they did in Iowa recently, there is flattened corn, and now it's become a constant issue. So, and unfortunately, as much as we can turn to the soil insecticides and seed treatments, they don't kill rootworm. So they're only at best protecting those roots in the minimal root zone that they're in. And so BT, if we can make it or maintain it and make it more durable again, we've got to make that effort now so that we don't have their scenario. Okay. So not fear mongering, but this is really something that livestock producers and even cash croppers who like to grow corn on corn have to consider. Going with BT every year is not going to be our long-term option from now on.
Tracy, how much of an issue is volunteer corn in soybean fields?
Great question, Chris. So that's another problem. It can actually add to the resistant issue, because volunteer corn from the previous year has less of the BT toxin in it, even less than this low to moderate dose that's already in BT corn in general. So it will allow the rootworm larvae to survive on those minimal plants that are in the field, and we can't consider it rotated then out of corn. And it perpetuates the problem because those larvae are likely going to survive better because the volunteer corn has less of the toxin in it. So we really, if we rotate out of corn, we also have to really manage the volunteer corn in your soybean fields or whatever else you rotate it into to also help reduce this issue. so those are my 2 cents. I didn't want to take up more than my share. So I'm going to stop sharing. And if there are any questions or someone else wants to talk about their issues, go for it.
Okay, at the moment, there are no questions. So Megan, you want your minute of fame?
All right. Oh boy. If this is my only minute of fame, then I might be disappointing. But so you guys can hear me okay, I guess.
You get more than 1 minute too.
So if we're focusing on pests, and I'm thinking about dry beans, it's dry bean harvest time now, of course. I guess if we're focusing on pests, I'll talk just briefly about Western bean cutworms. So Tracy can correct me if I fib about anything or if she has anything to add. Hopefully you can see my screen now. So I just wanted to talk about sort of the key criteria for Western bean cutworm. I'm still getting a lot of questions, and that pest is spreading to more and more regions and greater numbers, and we're counting a lot of moths in the traps. And I just want to reiterate that it is important to have the traps just so that we know when is the best time to spray. And so I've kind of tried to boil down our really great fact sheet into 4 key points. The first is only spray when there are pods on the plant. That's the only way to intercept those insects. They're hiding in the soil at night, so we need insecticide on the pods if we're going to control them. We're only spraying if we've caught at least 150 moths during the season. So we're not spraying when we've caught 150, and if we're expecting more moths. We're just basically not spraying if we're in a fringe area. We've never seen Western bean cutworm before, and this year we caught 20. That's not the situation where you want to spray. You have to have a kind of an appreciable number of those moths. The third is you don't spray until trap catches are starting to decline. So we want to, that's why we have the traps, so we know when peak flight is, because after peak flight, or at peak flight, is peak egg laying, and then peak feeding will follow, and that's when you want to have your insecticide on. And then the 4th criteria is only when we want to see growers at least scout and look for some pod feeding. So it's very difficult to scout for egg masses in dry beans, and I actually don't recommend it. It's they're just a lot harder to find than they are in corn. So once you have past peak flight, go out and look for some pod feeding, and if you're seeing some, then a spray is warranted, especially in those larger seeded beans and the colored beans, because we tend to see more discoloration and pick with Western bean cutworm. Anything else worth adding there, Tracy? Just to kind of boil
No, that's great. Yeah, that's exactly it. Certainly we're seeing them progress more into central, eastern Ontario and Quebec now, more than they used to. So more growers are starting to have to be aware and possibly trap so that you have a good handle on what's going on locally.
Great. And I guess while I'm here, I just wanted to talk briefly about pre-harvest herbicides in dry beans. Now's the time, lots of spraying going on to I guess, desiccate dry beans. And just a reminder is with Aragon, that's our kind of key product. So we kind of want to be fashionably late with the Aragon. Plants should already be drying down and dropping their leaves. That's when it's most effective. It's also most effective when you're spraying on a sunny day. So we have a little smoke haze covering the sun right now, but days like today are good. Last year was a real challenge during this harvest timing. It wasn't sunny, we had overcast days. So try to spray when it's sunny. Between 9 and 5 p.m. is your best bet for the best dry down. Keep your water volumes high, over 20 gallons per acre, and low and slow. Drive slow, get good coverage. You need good coverage for that product to work well. So just a few tips for right now. If there's any questions, please feel free. I don't really have anything else to add for my 5 minutes of fame.
Megan, I was kind of curious about winter canola and where we ended up with respect to some of those yields. I know there was a fair bit of interest again this fall, right? Winter canola. What's your kind of big picture take home after this year? I know you were following some fields.
Yeah, we had quite a good year for winter canola, and part of that success is so low acreage, only about, I guess, maybe 1,500 acres this year, because there wasn't a lot of acres to plant it on because of winter wheat the previous year, so it goes back a couple of years. But so this year we had a mild winter, which probably helped. Growers that were growing it this year, a lot of them had some experience with the crop and knew that they would have the most success on really well-drained fields that dry out kind of in the summer. And so those are the fields that they were putting the crop on. And so we had really good survival. And there's not a lot of management after we put our fertilizer on in the spring. We put some fungicide on to protect against white mold. And yeah, yields came off pretty strong, a lot of 80 bushels, but quite a few over 70 bushels. So that's, I think, definitely achievable. I would fertilize for a 70 bushel crop and kind of have that as a yield goal, which is a little bit higher than our average spring yield in the province. So I think we're having some success. We had a lot of late season frost this year. So plants were just starting to flower and we got some frost. So certainly any open flowers will probably be killed by a frost, but the plants can really compensate for that with their branches that come later. And actually the plants held up really well. So a little bit of stem cracking, like some cracking on the edges of the stem. And in theory, it's an entry point for disease, but I went back and checked lots of fields and they just looked scarred. They didn't look diseased. So I was really happy with the way Mercedes held up this spring.
So Megan, 20 years ago when we tried it, we had lots of issues with winter kill, right? And that discouraged quite a few growers. Are some of these varieties a little better on that front? Because that's the thing that still worries me about winter canola, to be honest, right?
Yeah. Well, we've learned a couple things. Like, first of all, Mercedes is a hybrid. And so those open pollinated varieties, I just don't think had the same, vigor or potential. The other thing that we've kind of learned, I talked to a guy in Manitoba who has sort of my job, but with Manitoba Ag, and he wanted to put some plots in, and his idea was, I'll just sock the seed, lots of seed, high seeding rate, count them and see what survives. That's actually the opposite of what I would suggest. Low seeding rates actually help. We want the plants spaced out, because if they're too close together, they grow tall and skinny in the fall, and those plants just can't survive. And they'll put their growing point kind of up above the soil surface. So actually 4 plants per square foot is lower than what we would seed in spring canola, and we see better survival with lower seeding rate. So it's pretty cool. So that's kind of, I guess those are my thoughts. I think we have over 3,000 acres going in the ground this year. It's kind of go time now. It's crop insurance deadline for a lot of the southern regions is September 20th. So it looks like we have some good weather now. So I think we'll have some good stands of canola this year.
Cool. So twice as many acres from last year.
Yeah, actually, it might even be more. I was trying to be a little conservative. We sold quite a bit of seeds, so, or not me, but quite a bit of seeds been sold. So
good. Mr. Bonner, any comments about the supposedly record soybean crop?
Oh, Margaret, you hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of growers are pretty excited in terms of the potential there, right? You never want to count your chickens before they're hatched, but certainly the potential is pretty strong out there. And I think as we've all kind of been paying attention to some of the yield tours, right? The farms.com number, that's the Mazex Greg Stewart number, was something like 53 bushels, right? In terms of the 2020 yield potential. And of course, to put that into context, the 5-year average is 46.5, right? So that's a pretty big number. The Stats Canada number was also 10% higher than, that just came out a couple of days ago, than the 5-year average. Their number is 48 bushels. And then, of course, the other big one is the Great Lakes grain number, and they came out with just a huge number of 58 bushels, right? So, which would be 25% greater than the long-term average. So anyway, all that to say is, like, we all know that no one can predict soybean yields until you get the combine in there, right? Especially you, Margaret.
My track record's pretty good, Horst. Come on.
Margaret and I have this little bet every year at this time, and we both estimate final soybean yields, and then whoever wins. I don't know. What does the winner get, Margaret? I can never remember.
Always loses.
Glory, Horst, just glory.
Just glory.
And my halo, you'll notice here, that's because I've had the glory, I think, 17 of the 18 years.
I dispute that number. Kathy's the keeper of the numbers, and she can't be trusted. So.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, just for the record, since we're chuckling now, what's your number this year, Margaret? I'll take mine first, just to show how honest I am.
No, Horst.
Yes.
These numbers are held in confidence by the designated person, and once we know average yields, then those numbers are released. I actually have a question for you guys. So, in the Q&A here, pests and diseases seem to be increasing in diversity, occurrence, and impact with something new and different to manage. La Nina is now predicted to affect the Ontario winter to be milder and wetter. What do you expect for the 21 growing season? So I would like a prediction from all of you.
Well, I mean, one point I'll maybe make and then turn it over to Tracy. You know, bean leaf beetle numbers have been, generally kind of creeping up, and it's partly because of the less insecticide seed treatment used, right, Tracy, in soybeans. So I think that one has the potential. What do you think about aphids on the soybean front, Tracy? Is there, if it's a mild winter, I don't know.
Yeah, winters, sure. Beetles in general, any of the beetles overwinter right at the soil surface. So the more mild the winter, the more likely they'll do well. So that's kind of why we're seeing so many rootworm, and even now, I suspect bean leaf beetle will be more of an impact. And any of those moths that tend to overwinter, they used to overwinter down in the south in the Gulf of Mexico area. They're starting to progress more and more closer to our border, or even closer into Ontario. So I could see in the near future, we see earworm earlier, all the moths that tend to migrate in, true armyworm. So yeah, I think that's going to be the norm. And then depending on the spring, if it's a wet spring, that would be great because it would have more of an impact on rootworm larvae. But if it's hot and dry summer, then everything could possibly happen again. I suspect we're going to see snippets very similar to the July and August that we experienced this year going forward from now on. That's my prediction.
Megan, you got a prediction? She's not going there. Christine?
I'll make one.
Oh, good.
So silage corn rootworm is going to be a big one. We know those high-risk fields are continuous corn, and that describes a lot of our silage fields. In other crops, we've had 2 bad potato leafhopper years in a row, and we give the weather far too much credit. The number of growers I've had tell me, oh, my alfalfa looks like it's really drought stressed. And it's not. Those leaves are turning yellow, but when you think about it, a production year alfalfa stand has deeper roots than almost any other field crop we grow in this province. So if the soybeans or the corn or the wheat next door looks just fine and your alfalfa's turning yellow, scout for leafhoppers, because that's probably what it is. So yeah, I think we're gonna have another bad leafhopper year just because no one's watching for it. And they like hot and dry, but because they blow in, they don't overwinter. Our weather doesn't affect necessarily how bad they are. Like 2017 was a bad leafhopper year, and it was cool and wet, but it was because wherever they overwinter had the right conditions for high populations. So leafhopper, corn rootworm, those are my 2 picks.
Cool. Anybody else got a guess, or we've got everybody? Any questions from you people who are listening? You got all this expertise at your fingertips and you just need to fire a question at them. Or you can connect with them later.
Margaret, I think while people are asking for or thinking about questions, at this time of year, of course, and Megan brought it up about pre-harvest herbicides, we had such a dry June, right? And also July, that a lot of the herbicides didn't hold, or we had late flushes. And so some of these bean fields are really dirty, right? And so timing on these pre-harvest herbicides is pretty important. So we look for, of course, about 90% of the pods having changed color from green to yellow or brown. And really what's going on there is you're looking for the seed inside the pod to have changed color from green to yellow. And of course, the easiest way to do that is just to look at the pod, right? And so at the end of the day, if usually that corresponds to about 80% leaf drop in soybeans. So a lot of the fields in this area are there now, unless they were very short IP beans, and we did see a few combines rolling already. But I think there'll be some fields sprayed this week. So just as a comment, right, think about what products you're allowed to use with respect to IP contracts, right? Not everyone is allowing glyphosate. And then timing is a big one, right? You don't want to spray too early because we don't want to get that herbicide into the seed and then pick it up in the harvested seed.
And I would just reiterate those things on dry beans. You have to talk to your dealer about what product is acceptable if you're thinking of something other than Aragon, because different dealers have different products that they're allowing, and the different market classes have different products that are allowed. So we just make sure you're clear with your dealer on that, and not just pod color change. Sometimes those last pods on the plant, you know, they may look okay on the outside of the pod, but you want to make sure they're nice and they're the appropriate color. The seeds are the appropriate color. I saw some pictures on Twitter about, you know, this field's ready for pre-harvest herbicide, and they showed a picture of the pods, and the crayons were white. They weren't cranberry. So you gotta just have a look.
Yeah, I'm going to try and share a picture here if I can. Yeah, let's see if this one works. Share. So, yeah, so I guess you're just seeing my screen here. So at the end of the day, you can tell that these individual seeds have completely separated from the pod. That's really what you want for the majority of the seed. If you look at this picture, they have just separated from the pod, right? And that's still okay. But this field, you know, if the majority or even the top pods are like this, it's just barely ready. You really should just maybe wait another day or two until they have completely separated from the pod. And this is, of course, a picture where they haven't separated, and this is a no-no. You don't want to be spraying. Yeah.
I think we only saw one picture there, or I only saw one.
Yeah, okay. I can see more than one. Let's see if I can.
So unshare and then share another one. All we see is the brown field.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm working on it here. I had my story all down. Now you messed it up, Megan. There, can you see that one? So this one, they're not detached from the pod at all, and they're still green inside, right? And if you have those on the top of the plant, because the further down you go the plant, the more mature they'll be. This is not mature enough yet, right? Anyway, those are, we put Mike Cobra and I put an article on Field Crop News just today with some pictures if you need a little help in trying to decide whether it's time to spray.
So we have another question that's appeared. Can we expect any new technologies in seed or pesticide management for 21? Any hot new things coming down the pipe? No, Tracy said.
No, that's what's scary. That's what's concerning, especially on the BT side, as well as just insecticides in general. There's not, well, BT, there's no new products coming, even in the pipeline. So that's, you know, we're looking at a good 10 years before we'd see anything coming to market, if it was even discovered now. In terms of insecticides, no. Again, we are pretty much working on what's available. We just have to hope that we can add more pests to those labels. And where I see in the future we're going to have to turn to, because there's not that many actives out there to test and try, is moving towards those biologics. There's going to be more focus on the entomopathogenic fungus, bacteria, and nematodes to try and manage our pests, because the synthetic pesticides are not coming down as the pipeline's going slow. It's a drip, not a gush.
Insects.
I saw the Intrepid insecticide is now labeled for Western bean cutworm on corn and dry beans.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
No, but we are adding pests to those labels. So yeah, that's an example of where they were able to demonstrate its use. So that's really where we're going to see, is if we can identify certain chemistries that we already have and just get the pest on those labels. I can't speak on the fungicide side, though. I leave that to Albert. So.
So who's up next?
I think Margaret, did we lose her and she came back?
She's kind of half frozen down there, isn't she?
She's frozen. Yeah.
Margaret, are you with us?
Yeah, she did lose her internet last night for a few minutes too.
Okay.
So Ben or Chris or Christine could go ahead.
Finish us off. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have a question for Ben. What are you seeing this year?
Yeah, where's Ben?
Yeah. Oh, Margaret's back. Are you there, Margaret? We kind of lost you. All right, go ahead, Ben.
Sorry, I missed your question, Kathy.
Just wondered what you're seeing in the corn crop this year. I know there's some silage plots silage fields coming off near Drumbo right now, and what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of comments, really. This probably next week or towards the end of September, we'll start our dawn survey that we do every year, so that'll be coming up. By and large, from what I've heard, most stuff looks pretty clean, but we always like to do the survey anyways to get a bit of a heads up before harvest time. Yeah, beyond that, I'm not sure I have any major comments on the corn side of things.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our time frame. So thank you very much, the Field Crop Unit, for your participation, your accepting of the heckling from the soil and crop folks that are here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Glacier Farm Media. Folks in attendance, feel free to visit the virtual platform, try and find the draw for that jacket, and contact any of the folk involved here if you have any questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone.